You just got a quick note from our old friend Greg Palast, the investigative journalist, author, and filmmaker. His most recent project, The Best Democracy Money Can Buy, which you can watch over at Amazon and other places. It's a pretty amazing movie. GregPalast.com is his website. You can tweet him at Greg_Palast, just like I'm Thom_Hartmann. And Greg, welcome back to the program.
Glad to be with you, Tom.
So I noticed on your website this 2004 email from Tim Griffin to B. Doster at georgewbush.org, one of the private email accounts that the Bush organization was running. It's funny how Republicans get all hysterical about Hillary doing this, but they did it themselves. But I guess that's sort of a separate story. What's going on with this?
Okay, what's going on here is when I saw the name Brett Doster associated, he's the campaign manager, the hitman, the man who is smearing the female accusers of Judge Moore, and disgustingly smearing these women to save Judge Moore. And the guy who's doing it is named Brett Doster. And when I saw that name, he is the campaign chairman and spokesman for Judge Moore.
In Alabama.
My eyes just popped out of my head. It was running, of course, for Senate in Alabama, the right-wing pedophile. And so Doster, he's one of Karl Rove's old henchmen. When I was working with BBC, I got my hands on internal emails of the George W. Bush campaign, and what we found is that they're running an operation. If you go to gregpalast.com, you can see the email itself, one of the 50 I got, called Caging. It was sent to Brett Doster, who was running the Bush operation in Florida.
And this came, by the way, Greg, this came from Tim Griffin. Isn't he the right-hand man for the Koch brothers?
You're right. He's a Koch creature. They created him and put him in Congress. Now he's lieutenant governor of Arkansas, ready to run for governor there. But originally, after I made this email public for the first time on BBC Television London, he resigned as United States prosecutor for Little Rock. But the guy who received the email, Brett Doster, never lost his job, and now here he is working as the hitman for Judge Moore. Why is this important? One, obviously, because if Judge Moore gets elected, he brings this slime with him who is running his operation. Second, what Doster does now is disgusting, slamming these and sliming these women. But what he did before was plain out illegal. He ran an operation for Karl Rove called Caging. What is Caging? It's simple. You send letters to black voters, Hispanic voters, Jewish voters, Asian American voters, students, and others who you know are not home for some reason, are not at their voter registration address. Why? They were sending letters to soldiers who were in Iraq. I can't make this up. Sending them letters. They do not forward. When I say they, that's the Republican National Committee, directed by Karl Rove and organized by Brett Doster, Judge Moore's guy. They'd send these letters to black soldiers in Iraq. The letters would come back undeliverable from their home addressing not there, and they would use that to say these voters don't exist. These soldiers don't exist, and challenge their vote. You send in your vote, your absentee ballot, from Iraq to Florida, they worked this in Alabama, they worked this in Michigan, they worked this in several states. You send back your vote from Fallujah, and your vote is thrown away because you've been challenged as a ghost voter, and you don't even know it. You don't even know you've lost your vote. So go to Iraq, lose your vote, mission accomplished. That was Karl Rove, that was this guy Tim Griffin, but more important, on the ground was Brett Doster. BBC sent me to hunt this guy down in Tallahassee. He literally ran away from me. He was running down the street away from me until finally one of his henchwomen, his spokeswoman, came out to say, no, these were not caging lists because that's a felony crime. These are just lists of our donors. Well, by the way, they were sending these letters to a homeless shelter. Those are the Republican donors, because they knew that people at homeless shelters don't always get their mail, believe it or not. and then they challenge their right to vote. So you lose your home, you lose your vote. Thank you, Brett Doster. That's Judge Moore's guy.
Wow. Wow. So, by the way, I caught a story this morning that flew by about provisional ballots. I believe it was in Virginia, that there's this big battle going on about these placebo ballots. Most people don't even know what a provisional ballot is until they go to vote and they're told, oh, you've got to vote on a provisional ballot, here you go. What's going on here?
I just got a call from Virginia, from the experts down there. The balance of who controls the state legislature, now Republican, should be going Democratic. But there are several races in which they are disqualifying votes mainly by African Americans. And what they've done is, in Virginia, they have these people we discussed cross-check. Virginia is a state that still uses the cross-check system of removing voters whom they say have voted in 2 different states. So if your name is on that cross-check list, you get a provisional ballot. You think you voted. I call it a placebo ballot because you think you voted. You fill out a ballot form. You stick it in an envelope. Unfortunately, if your name was illegally removed or there was an illegal challenge to your vote, including, say, caging, you still lose your vote in Virginia. They are trying not to count these provisional ballots. Also, they had a ton of absentee ballots which came in, and they said, oh, the ballots arrived a day late. You know why they're a day late? Because Virginia officials simply let them sit at the post office before they picked them up. And they said, oh, they arrived at our office, which is the date that counts, late, because they literally would not go to the post office to gather the ballots. That's what's happening in Virginia.
And I'm betting a lot of those absentee ballots are either elderly people who would be voting Democratic, they want to protect their Social Security, or they're people on overseas deployments.
Yeah, so what's happened is the Civil Rights Commission did an analysis of these non-counted ballots, what they call spoilage. If you're black, the chance your ballot will be disqualified for some technical reason is 900% higher than if you're white. Virginia's been terrible on this, disqualifying loads of absentee ballots, of provisional ballots.
Can't Terry McAuliffe do something about this? He's the governor.
Well, in fact, I just had a discussion this morning, like, you know, where's Terry? It's like, where's Waldo? He did the right thing in that he personally signed 170,000 clemencies to let ex-cons vote, as in most of America,
right,
outside the Confederacy. But he's still missing an action on this issue of cross-check provisional ballots, absentee ballots, because you know what? The Democrats can only think, and I've dealt with Terry, he's Governor McAuliffe, the outgoing governor. He's a decent guy, but he's not prepared for the level of deep vote manipulation evil that voters of color confront in America. He's learning step by step, so he takes on one issue, and then he has to go to the next issue. So, unfortunately, the learning curve is too long. He's losing his legislature to the Republicans again because of this manipulation. And hopefully, by the way, your program has had a big effect. A lot of people keep mentioning it. The discussions we've had on cross-check. And,
great.
You know, and by the way, if you want to know what caging is explained in detail, go to my site. From the film, The Best Democracy Money Can Buy, is Bobby Kennedy, who was my lawyer working on this issue, explaining voter caging and why people like Doster should be in prison. It's a felony crime. This is the guy that Judge Moore is using. Can you believe it?
So Judge Moore's, the guy running Judge Moore's smear campaign against these women is, in your opinion, Greg Palast, has participated in felony disruptions of democracy. So, right, is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. And people say, well, why wasn't he in jail? Because the problem of vote theft is that the criminals become the sheriff.
Greg Palast.